Hi everyone, this is William with the 1906 diary entry, or rather the second part of the diary entry for 25th May 1906, which was a Wednesday, and we are still in Peterhof. We will be leaving shortly for Ilinskaya, but not quite yet. I think within the next 2 days. And this second part of the diary is quite short. I wanted to focus yesterday on two things in the first part of the diary. One being the people, Dimitri's feelings about leaving Peterhof, and the other being his concern with going to Ilinskaya. On the one hand, that his aunt is going to be completely preoccupied with her soldiers, who, in his view, have kind of overrun the place, her wounded soldiers, I should say. And the second being that he was afraid to go, because even though he knew that it was extremely unlikely, he hadn't shaken the fear of being in that part of Russia, in Moscow and in the vicinity of Moscow, because of what had happened to Uncle Sergei and the events of the 1905 revolution. And so he was worried about actually being killed in a peasant uprising. All right, so the second part of the diary entry is, it's pretty simple, but I guess I might as well try and get things in under 15 minutes for once. All right, here we go. This morning we had coffee with Aunt at 9:30, and at 10:45 we went to Alexandria, to the little church. The suite and the family were there. After that, we went to the farm at 12 o'clock for lunch. I sat next to Andrei and Gavril. Today, like the previous days, it was brisk, only 10 degrees, and to think it was 24 degrees in the shade at the beginning, but almost all the days thereafter were like this. At 5 o'clock, we're going downstairs for tea. If Aunt Ella isn't late, as always. 4:45. Okay, so we learned something about Ella, that she was habitually late for tea, possibly for other things as well, but at least for tea. And we'll notice a bit of a change in Dimitri's daily life once he is back to living with Ella, because she had her own daily schedule. And apparently she started out with coffee in the morning about 9:30, and this will continue at Ilinskaya, that he and Maria have coffee with their aunt in the morning. I don't know if they were actually drinking coffee or if it's like the way the British refer to tea being actually a meal. And I suppose people usually do actually drink tea, but it's the word for the late afternoon meal. And so maybe coffee with Aunt means breakfast with Aunt. But they were certainly old enough to be drinking coffee. I think I started drinking coffee with milk, of course, when I was about 12. So that lasted a little over an hour, and then they went off to this little church in Alexandria, and Alexandria must have been near Peterhof. I don't know. I didn't look it up. I know there was a river vessel, boat, that was used by the imperial family that was called the Alexandria. And my friend Admiral Fabritsky in his memoirs talks about that boat. But with the preposition he's using, I don't think he's talking about going on the boat to this little church. He's talking about going to some place called Alexandria that has this little church, and the suite and the family were there. And he's not only talking about Nicholas and Alexandra, though of course the suite were attached to them, but apparently the family en large, so to speak, because then they all go after that to lunch at the farm. And again, I don't know what the farm was in Peterhof. I'm just waiting for someone to leave a comment filling me in on these various things that I don't know about, like Alexandria and the farm. And during lunch, he sits next to his cousins Andre and Gavril. So, yeah, this was a broader portion of the family. So Andre was Grand Duke Andrei Vladimirovich, and Gavril was Prince Gavril Konstantinovich. We've met him before. He lived at Pavlovsk. He was one of the many children of Grand Duke Konstantin and his wife, whom Dmitri calls Aunt Mavra. So Andre, he's not telling us anything about what lunch was like or what his experience was with his cousins. Apparently, they didn't do or say anything special. You may recall that when Andre was on duty with the Tsar at the Alexander Palace, Dmitri did not want him there, and filled us in on the fact that Aunt Ella actually liked Andre, or actually liked Boris, the middle brother. There was Kirill, Boris, and Andre, and Aunt Ella preferred the middle brother, but Dmitri himself preferred Andre. And Dmitri and Andre would continue to be in contact with each other until the very end. And yeah, they were friends, although their relationship was strained at times. And I personally agree with Dmitri, at least in relation to Boris, though I don't know much about him. It's always seemed to me that Andre was the best of the Vladimirovich brothers. All right, so Dmitri doesn't talk about the weather usually unless it has an actual impact on him. So 10 degrees in May, well, I don't have the slightest sympathy for him in that respect, because here I am in August wearing a sweater and a scarf. And it's not 10 degrees here, but yeah, it's in the teens. So 24 degrees would have been much nicer, 24 degrees in the shade. And they're about to go downstairs for tea if Aunt Ella gets her act together. But he's expecting her to be late. So that is it, my friends. Tomorrow, I can give you a little bit of a preview. Tomorrow, we're going to introduce Aunt Mops for the first time that she's been mentioned in the diaries. So I think it's an English nickname. It's not a Russian nickname. So Mops, M-O-P-S, like the cleaning implement. And she is the Duchess of Oldenburg. And we are also going to hear about the parting gifts that Nicholas and Alexandra give to Dmitri and Maria. And it's a relatively short diary entry. But yeah, that's okay once in a while. Things really, the diary entries start getting really long when Dmitri arrives at Ilyinsky. So I will leave it there, and do tune back in for the diary entry of 1921. I had a great time today doing a Zoom meeting with a group of Romanov writers and scholars and aficionados from the U.S. and Europe. And I shouldn't even say the U.S. because I think it's broader than that. I think other countries in Central America, North America, South America. I don't know. I didn't meet everybody. But that was great. That was great. And if any of you are watching, thank you for that. It was my first time meeting with this group, and it certainly will not be the last. And it was bliss for me because the topic was, of course, Dmitri. So, yeah, I'll see you next time. Bye.